Hi, it's Ben here. Today's video we're going to take a look at working remotely. At the moment I'm in beautiful Canada, British Columbia, and it's a good opportunity to have a look at a travelling lightweight setup for doing digital art. I kind of had the feeling that after I'd finished retreat here, I've just done almost a month retreat here, and I figured I'd like to stay for a little bit longer, so I brought all my equipment over from Australia and have a nice little setup that I can show you that easily fits in your hand luggage if you're going on the aeroplane, and easy to set up, and it doesn't really sacrifice any of the tools that you'd have at home, so you don't feel like the artwork you're producing is substandard because you've got this very lightweight setup. So without further ado, we'll take a look at the setup I've got, and I'll explain each of the elements of it and why I chose it and how it works, and maybe some of the things that don't work so fantastically. Okay, let's take a look now. Okay, so here we are. So this is my little workstation. So you can see I'm actually working here because of the glare on the screen. I'm actually in a sort of a dark room out the back, which is a lot easier to work with in terms of glare on the screen and things like that. But I've brought the setup out here so it's easy to film, and so there's plenty of light. It would be romantic to work here, but as you can see the reflections on the screen, you don't want to be working with your back to the light source. For that matter, you don't actually want to be working looking into the light source either, because that's quite hard on your eyes. So it's quite hard to get the lighting right in the room for doing long hours of drawing at a time. I generally find a dark room without any particular light source. So enough light to read by, for example, but no particular light source if you can avoid it. So here's my setup. What I've got is my Macbook Pro, which is the 15-inch version. Nothing particularly special in terms of the Macbook Pro line. Anything that they're producing currently is more than enough to run Photoshop. I used to use Windows machines, but I much prefer the Mac now. And really the deciding thing for me as an artist is the Retina screen. It's just so beautiful to work on, and so beautiful to display your art to other people as well. So that's the same machine I use at home, so no difference. All my files are on that, and so I don't have a different machine for travelling. Then coming down the front, this is different to what I use at home. This is the Cintiq 13 HD, which I use, and that's more than adequate to draw on when you're away. The only downside is if you're used to using the full-size 24 HD, which is what I have at home, you feel a little bit restricted, and it's also posturally it's also not fantastic, since you're working on kind of a cramped surface. I have a board at home that I use when I'm travelling, which is too big to take on the aeroplane, but it creates a very large bezel around the 13 HD, and so your hands are on the same surface as the drawing surface all the time. Your hands and your wrists and your forearms, and that makes it much better. It's like having a large drawing board on that great 15-degree angle. So there's the 13 HD. Now the newest edition, which is the thing I really like and I really wanted, is up the top. I've got the the iPad Pro, and that's functioning as a second monitor. And that's something that I find indispensable. I've said that before in a couple of my videos, is that I always need to work with the full-sized image displayed in portrait mode in front of me, and then actually working on the fine details down the bottom. Having the screen of the MacBook functioning as well could take it or leave it. Don't necessarily need that, but it just so happens that having that open creates the support for the iPad Pro. So what I've done is I just sort of knocked up this little lightweight sort of carbon fibre stand. I don't know how well you can see that. That's just, it's not particularly stable. If you bumped it, everything would fall over. But it's all I had time to do before I left for Canada. And that's just a picture of it there. So it collapses down into something that weighs almost nothing. And all it does, it just clips on the back of your monitor. And then there's just a nice little groove there that the iPad sits in. And it's just supported by the structure of the hinge on the computer. If I was going to design it properly, I'd have something which prevents this from falling forward. If you snagged a wire or bumped the table in a large way, that could potentially fall forward and crush your keyboard and who knows what else. So a bit of an accident waiting to happen there. Keyboard, I always work with a keyboard. You could ditch the keyboard in a lightweight setup and use the keyboard of your computer, but it's a little bit hard on your posture to operate a keyboard from that angle. So happy to carry a keyboard with me. They don't weigh much, don't take up much space, and then the mouse as well. So the mouse for me is, technically you can get across all your screens with just the pen of your Wacom, but it's much easier to have. You've got your hand over next to the keyboard. There's no reason not to have the mouse. That gives you a scroll wheel, it gives you an easily accessible right click, and it enables you to navigate between those three windows without having to press any extra buttons. The mouse enables me to work in this second window, which I always have open to Bridge, and working in Adobe Bridge I can access all my reference files, for example, and look through all the images that I might be using to gain inspiration or reference or whatever it is. Now, you might be thinking, how does the iPad Pro work as a second monitor? There's an app which is called, I believe it's called Duet Display or something similar to that. That enables the iPad to talk to the MacBook, and it's pretty seamless. When the iPad changes orientation, portrait to landscape, it does that automatically. You don't have to click any buttons. Its refresh rate is fine for what I use it for, and it was pretty easy to set up, so it's really quite fantastic. It doesn't give you quite the, even though it says it's giving you the resolution of the Retina display, the images don't display as Retina quality on the iPad Pro. I'm not sure why that is, but for the viewing distance that you're actually looking at it from, it's totally fine. And you're only really using it in this instance to get a good idea of the overall picture. So again, going through the reasoning of why I like to use it that way, when you're working down here and let's say you're adjusting the expression on the face, you might be making subtle changes to the position of the nose, the angle of the eyes, the eyebrows. There's quite a lot of room for, within the parameters of the grid system, there's quite a lot of room for subtlety in there. And so you're working down here on this subtle level and you might be thinking it looks good, but when you look at the overall picture, it might actually mightn't be working well in terms of the overall picture. So working down on this level that's very subtle down below enables you to, at the same time, without looking away, to look up and check what you're doing and it's a really good way to work. In addition to that, when you're doing things like transforming objects or there's selections, the transform box or the selection doesn't appear in the upper image. So what that means is that you can't make subtle changes to the composition of an object with a big square box around it and little handles on it. That needs to be hidden, otherwise it's informing your composition by having a square box around it. So all of that's hidden in the top view, so it enables you to make very fluid changes without having to hide any of those objects in the actual window that you're working on. The other fantastic thing about the iPad Pro is that if you buy an iPad Pencil or an Apple Pencil, it works very similarly in terms of drawing experience to a Cintiq. It's really quite amazing. And I'm going to do a separate tutorial on drawing with the iPad Pro, because right now I'm doing probably about half of my drawing on the iPad Pro, and it's absolutely fantastic. Not so much because of the drawing experience, but it just enables you to work on the couch when you need to rest. You can work, as I said, on the aeroplane. You can work in the cafe. And once you get an idea or a feel for the drawing experience, which is a little bit different to the Cintiq, it opens up a whole nother world of possibilities in terms of pen response and things like that. Okay, so that's it. That's working remotely. There's the setup. Let's see if I can focus. That's what it looks like. I don't know what it weighs, maybe about 5 kilos. It all fits in your hand luggage on the aeroplane, and you can work without any sacrifice of quality. Okay, and just so you can see for yourself, that is the size of the whole unit, minus the cables of course and the pen. But the guts of the unit that you'd be taking on the aeroplane or travelling with in the car or taking to the cafe, whatever it is, with a full drawing experience, as good as a well set up digital art office is only that big. So that's pretty cool. It's amazing what technology is offering artists at the moment. Absolutely nothing to complain about. To be a digital artist at the moment, what more could you want than having tools like that? Okay, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed that brief tour of my portable work setup. The next tutorial, which will come out, I'm hoping fairly soon, will cover the iPad Pro and how to draw on that with the Apple Pencil. In particular, we'll be using my favourite program, which is ArtRage, which is, I looked at a lot of different apps, and ArtRage is still, in my opinion, the best for doing Thangkas, and it's really an exceptional program or app, and the way that they've integrated it to the iPad Pro, with a lot of control over how the pen works and the pencil works. They've really done a fantastic job, and it'll only get better. So next video we'll be talking about the iPad Pencil and iPad Pro. Okay, so until then, we'll see you next time, and happy painting. Bye.